Hello, listeners. Happy Christmas and welcome back to Get Fit Guy. Thank you to the listeners that emailed in about their thoughts on the question I posed about the title of the show. As I mentioned in that episode, I think that a gender-neutral approach would be better. I did get an email from one listener who said that it's called Get Fit Guy because I'm a guy. Now, I would argue that, in my perspective, this is a demonstration of the position I'm taking, which is that gender neutrality is important because it's quite assumptive, or using philosophical parlance, inductive. Now, whilst it is indeed the case that the pronouns I use are he and him, I have never discussed this on the show. So it's a significant assumption that I myself would want to be referred to as a guy. So there's an ethical model in philosophy called utilitarianism. I'm not able to fully explain it here because it would take too long and it's too nuanced. However, in a callback to my geekiness, it's the position that Spock takes at the end of the movie Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. Spock sacrifices himself to save the Enterprise, telling Kirk, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the one. Utilitarianism is where the morally right thing to do would be the thing that increases the net happiness or net good. In this case, if we apply this to the title of the show and write it out as an argument in deductive logic, which is where the conclusion logically follows on from the premises, then we get an argument that looks like this. Premise 1, the morally right thing is that which increases happiness. Premise 2, more people could be unhappy with a gender-specific title than would be unhappy with the show changing its name. Conclusion, therefore, the morally right thing to do is to change the name. I remember when I was a kid, my grandparents used to use some really unacceptable language to refer to immigrants. It was a shock to hear because it was just wrong. It felt acceptable to them because in their day, it was normal and accepted. But it's no longer their day. And if we want humanity to move forwards, I think we need to show acceptance and love to all people. And part of this includes the recognition that humanity moves forwards. And something was okay 100 years ago, we now know to be wrong. And just because gender rights were not a thing when I was younger doesn't mean it's not a real issue. No doubt this will be a trigger for me receiving emails, but I would also be curious to see what anyone's justification would be for intolerance and misunderstanding. Also, to preempt anyone that, as has been said in the past, I'm overstepping my remit as a fitness show host, I can assure you that fitness is something that affects an organism as a whole. Therefore, if someone were to experience negative effects on their psychology because of societal misunderstandings and felt they couldn't be themselves or were being attacked for being themselves, this would absolutely affect their fitness. All right, moving on from that. This week I'm going to talk about another interesting conversation I had with an international student here I met at the university. This conversation literally blew my mind, and I thought, of course, that if these kind of things affect one person, they'll probably affect more than one person. So let's chat about it. So last week I met an international student. She's studying here at the University of Edinburgh and comes from China. I was eating my lunch. If anyone's curious about what I eat, it was 250 grams of brown rice, 200 grams of chicken thigh, some roasted broccoli, some kimchi, and 10 grams of grass-fed butter with some hot sauce, which I really enjoy for the tastiness. This girl was eating double chocolate chip cookies. A few days later, I saw her eating a giant bag of Doritos for lunch and decided to ask her about it. She told me that while here at the university, she needs to make some money and is working as a fashion model. They've told her that she was too fat and to lose weight before getting work. Now, I would like to say about this girl that she looks to me that she would probably get blown away by a moderately strong wind. So I can assure you she is not too fat whatever that even means. So I can also tell you, in the same way we know that on a health to weight spectrum, that being too far on the heavy end is bad for health outcomes, so is being too far on the light end. I was curious about what kind of diet that she is actually on that has a focus on Doritos and cookies. And she told me that because she only needs to have a certain number of calories a day to lose weight, and she finds that difficult, to reward herself for doing it, she makes the small number of calories that she does eat come from food she enjoys. Now, I can see her logic. I mean, it's illogical, but I can see her logic there. And I do think we should definitely enjoy what we eat. That's why I put hot sauce, for example, on my chicken, rice, and broccoli. I find it delicious. But that meal I'm having with the hot sauce also has a significant amount of carbohydrate, protein, fats, and plenty of micronutrients from the brown rice, the broccoli, and the kimchi, which also contains probiotics and fiber. Double chocolate chip cookies, whilst delicious, and being something I definitely do eat, do not contain significant amounts of things that nourish our bodies over a period of time. And I don't think that we should be eating cookies, candies, or chips as the basis for our diet. Do I think that we shouldn't eat those? No, we absolutely should, because they taste great and give us pleasure. But that's not the same thing. Now, I'd asked her if she had considered that perhaps if she were to have more nutrient-dense foods, like some complex carbs, fibrous veggies, and some low-fat content meats, she could eat significantly more food for the same number of calories, but give her body way more nutrition and avoid hunger. And she said no, she didn't want to do that because it's hard to only eat a little amount and wouldn't be fun. At least this way it's fun because she likes cookies. Now, a study I read from Harvard Medical School reported that of the fashion models they surveyed, 62% had been pressured to lose weight. 2008 study found that over 50% of fashion models had a body mass index, or BMI, of under 18. A person is considered underweight when their BMI is under 18.5. To me, it's a big problem because it amplifies. Fashion companies are demanding models lower their body weight until it's in the underweight category and then traduce that information across the world using marketing campaigns with photographs and videos of these models. Then people like me go into clothes stores and can't find clothes that fit, or find clothes that when they do fit look nothing like the way they do on the models, because my physique is not the same as that type of physique being publicized in magazines and put on catwalks. An example of how unusual it is to see a body type that is not underweight comes from my own experience, where I went to the Nike store earlier this year, and amongst the tiny mannequins was a larger mannequin. I think Nike would call it a plus size mannequin, wearing Nike clothes. And at first I was absolutely taken aback by this. When I saw it in my peripheral vision, I did a double take, and I perhaps even found it quite jarring. But I thought about this and thought, why am I surprised and shocked to see clothes on a mannequin that is actually a realistic representation of what most of society looks like? It's not that I don't think that we should have models that are representative of reality. It's just that in my whole life, I've only ever seen models and mannequins representing how this industry think how things should be and how people should look. So to see a normal representation seemed totally out of place. So shout out to Nike and any other brands that are actually using models and mannequins that do represent the people that spend money on their products. But morally, I think we have the same utilitarian issue about what's morally right. I can't get on board with the idea that presenting a large population with an image of a smaller, unnatural population tell us that this is how we should be looking. It's morally calculable that this is wrong. So why does immorality continue to pervade marketing? Why are we being gaslit into thinking that how we look and how we live is wrong, and that we need to consume new products to be more like this unrealistic version of humanity that they are presenting to us? I don't know, but I'm able to see that it's wrong. And if you look back to an episode I did on value capture, that's the same thing. Our values about the way we look and the way we should feel have been captured by algorithms being run by big companies. And I hope that with this being Christmas and a couple of weeks, New Year, where everyone's going to be hit with the guilt of having overindulged during the holidays and sold on the solution to that being some new product or some new fitness fad for the new year, that everyone will be able to see through the nonsense and see the immorality of that approach and be kind to themselves and others. If you have any questions or just want to say hi, please email me, getfitguy@quickanddirtytips.com. Get Fit Guy is a Quick and Dirty Tips podcast, thanks to the team at Quick and Dirty Tips, Morgan Christensen, Holly Hutchins, Brandon Getchis, Davina Tomlin, and me. If you have a question for me, leave me a voicemail at 510-353-3104 or email me at getfitguy@quickanddirtytips.com. For more information about the show, visit quickanddirtytips.com or visit the show notes on your podcast app.